So here we're going to talk about the importance of going beyond just purely being totally a stimulus response being. Okay, this is where enlightenment or self-mastery starts to really, we start to take it to high levels. Okay, because this is where a real, let's say, master, if you want to use that word, where they function. They're way out of being completely in stimulus response. So let's talk about what I mean. What I mean by that is that you have gotten so good. I'm going to get specific with this. I mean, well, as specific as I can. It means that you've been able to control your mind and choose the states that you want to live in, the empowered states you want to live in, the states of certainty, of gratitude, of optimism, of being compassionate. All these states, you've wired these powerful states in you that now you've created. Another one way of saying it is created happiness from within. Okay, but I'm getting more specific on what that means. When people say, happiness is from within or happiness is an inside job. I'm trying to get a little more specific with what that means instead of just that general vague, oh, happiness is from within. Don't forget that. It's true, but let's define a little bit more what that means. What that means is that you are able to decide on, the way you're going to run your brain, and you're going to get much more out of stimulus response. You're not going to be constantly just, reacting to everything around you all the time. Things are bothering you. Oh, the weather's a little cold. It sets you off. Oh, this guy's a little rude. It sets you off. Some things aren't. You get an unexpected surprise. It sets you off. The more you break out of that, okay, and aren't constantly in that roller coaster, the less you're a stimulus response being. And that's happening because, again, you've programmed that within you to such a deep level that you start to get off the roller coaster of life. You see what I'm saying? This is something that hardly anybody contemplates. Think about this. If you took this all the way, you would pretty much never say, well, he made me mad. Well, he he ruined my day. Well, he brought me down. Well, the weather is making me depressed. That movie completely ruined my week. You wouldn't say things like that because your mind would be you'd be so locked in. Okay? You'd be so locked in to the states you choose to live in, empowered states, that you'd be very out of being a stimulus response person. You'd be out of the roller coaster. Okay, so and granted, it's a challenging thing, and that's what a lot of these videos are about: is how to master that. Kind of like I kind of jokingly say, how to become a Jedi. Somebody who's so empowered from within and is like can even control, what programming is in their subconscious mind. Think about that. That really makes you a master, because then your thoughts and the voice within is where you function from, not what's going on outside. Here's where it gets interesting. Even when things are kind of bright and bubbly, like as much as possible, you even want to get out of, sort of like, oh, it's a beautiful day and that makes me super duper happy. That doesn't mean that if it's a beautiful day, you can't walk around with a kind of like centered appreciation where you can take in beauty and just feel that connection, and let's say be out in nature and feel that connection. I'm not saying that, okay? Don't misunderstand this. It doesn't mean that you become like a walking vegetable, or like a rock where you're emotionless. But you're not totally caught up in, I'm having a wonderful day because it's sunny outside. And I know that's easier said than done, okay? But you even want to break out of that because you're still attached to something external. You're still attached. Of course, a part of us is always going to have a certain kind of like appreciation for stuff like that. Again, I'm repeating this because it's important. It doesn't get misunderstood. but you don't want to be attached to that. You don't want to be the kind of person that says, oh, I can only be happy when it's sunny and I'm in, that and I'm living in this kind of more upscale neighborhood where everything is pristine and all the shops look very upscale, and I can have the money to eat at nice restaurants instead of just eating takeout and fast food. Because you're still in stimulus response even with positive things. So you want to be able to be in such a state, function from such a place where you control your states and you can look at the outside and see that it's beautiful and look at whatever the panorama in front of you and drive through the nice neighborhoods and yeah, appreciate them, have like a nice kind of inner connection to these things. And you probably will feel more of a connection to that, a brighter connection to that than, let's say, something that's very, very, very unpleasant to look at. I'm not one that's going to say that you've completely divorced yourself from preferences. Like that probably a very beautiful, whatever, appealing looking, let's say, view is probably more attractive than looking at a junkyard. I mean, I think that's fair to say. I know people would debate that, but that's what I believe. Okay. I know there's people that believe that you can even completely have no likes or dislikes, so you could look at a junkyard the same way you would look at a beautiful lake, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But let's not go into that. Point being is that you're still not completely lost in your connection even to the beautiful things. Okay, you're still out of stimulus response. So think about that. That is the way a master functions. That's why usually when you see somebody like in a movie playing, somebody who's like a master or a very powerful person, they're usually very centered. And yes, these are only movies. I understand that, but it's coming from somewhere. A lot of these, the portrayals, these things, it comes from somewhere. It's these ideas, and it's because it's understood that usually these masters are coming from a place that they're more centered. They're not on the emotional roller coaster. So that's why they're usually poised and portrayed as very centered. So they're onto something. They're on the right track when they portray those more like masterful people as more centered and poised. There's a reason for that, because they've really mastered their inside and they're functioning more from happiness from within. Okay, so just contemplate that one. Thanks.